Hare Krishna. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Hare Krishna. So the main idea I was thinking is every time, there is this mixed conception of what is God, what is demigod, and what is the position of Devatas, right? So I just thought I will take you through whatever I know, because my knowledge on Devatas is also fairly less. So I have done my homework from Bhagavad Gita and little books in and around. So I'll start, right? So this is a typical question which Arjuna is also asking. Always gives. So we will first start seeing what are the powers of Krishna, right? What is his internal potency and external potency? So this is what I have done, and this is an important factor to decide and to explain where we are and where demigods are. So basically, Krishna has two broad divisions of energy. One is called the superior energy, another one is the inferior energy. The superior energy, which is the para energy, is again divided into two, which is called as internal energy and marginal potency. And this in this internal and marginal potency, in the marginal potency only we are coming, Jivatma, and in the same marginal potency only are demigods coming, right? And the external energy is also called the inferior energy, which is the apara energy, which is what is a material manifestation which we are seeing. So what is very important is we are part of superior energy and demigods are part of the superior energy, and that is also called as marginal potency. Part of it is called marginal potency, and that is called the Tada Shakti. Now, I'm just trying to explain Vishnu Tattvas, but I'm not going in depth. But there are 6 Vishnu Tattvas, which is an expansion of internal potency I was talking about. And in that, basically, just to highlight a few, Leela Avatar, Purusha Avatar, Guna Avatar, and you have Manvantra Avatar, Vibhuti Avatar, and Yuga Avatars, right? So basically, there are too many, but broadly categorized in this. So I want to highlight the one which I have boxed, in red, which is the Guna Avatar. The Guna Avatar actually talks about Brahma, Vishnu, and Shiva. So we keep talking about Brahma, who is in the Rajas quality, who creator. He's a secondary creator. And Vishnu handles the Sattva Guna. And Shiva is the Tama Guna. So I am highlighting again the Guna Avatar of Krishna actually gives rise to the 3 God, the Brahma, Vishnu, and Shiva. And also to add to this, the Krishna himself is a primary creator. From Krishna, Brahma, from the navel of Krishna, that is Vishnu, Brahma is formed. So this again is, I'll have to go back one line before, which is a Purusha Avatar. So from Krishna, there are various levels, but I'm taking you straight to Mahavishnu. If you see Goloka chart, you will understand. It is in the Purusha Avatar, you have Karbodakshai Vishnu. From Karbodakshai Vishnu, multiple universes are formed, and Garbhodakshai Vishnu is coming. From Garbhodakshai Vishnu only, from his navel only Brahma is coming. And from Brahma, Shiva is coming. So this is the line of this. So what is it? This is Bhagavad Gita, in fact, very clearly tells that demigod worship, right? It is basically all these demigods are controllers of the material world, and they are doing exactly what has been assigned to them. So that is the whole thing about the demigods. And why did Krishna appear is also very clearly done. So I am skipping that. I'm just touching the demigods. Now, I was talking to you all clearly about the Mahavishnu, which is the Karna Dakshai Vishnu. Karna Dakshai Vishnu created multiple universes. So this is one universe inside, the anatomy of one universe. So this talks about various lokas, right? We are here, the earth, which we are always proud of. But this, is the present house, which will come through in this session. And if you see the Satya Loka, which is also inside the, this universe, is where Krishna has created Brahma, right? Brahma resides. So for every universe, we have one Brahma. And our universe where we are right now, we have a 4-headed Brahma. It depends on the complexity of every universe. Brahma's heads also are turning. So this is the broad thing. And all of them across are subject to birth, death, old age, and disease. So this is the thing. This I will move. So pray. Okay. So this one is the story of how Krishna came. So when Mother Earth started feeling very stressed and distressed, she went on requesting for somebody to come and resolve this issue on Earth, and therefore she went to Brahma as a first level of hierarchical complaint. And Brahma once again went to Krishna and requested for saving it. Right. So this is the bottom line of it. So basically, it's all demigods worshipping. So now I'm just showing a photo, and it will be nice if you all can guess who this is. So this is the story of Bharata Maharaj's birth, right? Bharat Maharaj actually is born as a deer, and after that he again is reborn as Jada Bharata. Jada means mad, and there is one episode in this Jada Bharata where they used to have animal sacrifices. And these are people who are dacoits who wanted to sacrifice Jada Bharata himself because they felt he was very dumb, equivalent to an animal. And therefore, we had Mahakali, who Shakti, who comes and she's not happy. She comes and kills and destroys, all of them, because she could not tolerate that biggest devotee, who is Jada Bharata of Vishnu, being brought to kill. So for humans, it's different. We may think the person is dumb, but he's such an elevated soul. Even though they are willing to do the entire puja is done with so much money, sacrifice and time for her, she's not accepting it because she feels that the devotee of God is the highest. And she herself is a devotee of God, so she's not going to tolerate this for here. Okay, this is another guess. I'm sure you all will be guessing. It's also written there. It's a Hiranyakashipu. So Hiranyakashipu, and we know Prahlad and Hiranyakashipu story, who also prayed, Brahma. He did severe penances, and Brahma sanctioned, whatever you all want, take tadastu to him. And he wanted to live permanently, eternally. When Brahma said it's not possible to live eternally, he gave a lot of other, whole story of, I should not be killed here, there, and all that, and the whole thing happened. And then again, when Hiranyakashipu got into trouble, or rather created trouble, when Prahlad's story, we all know that Prahlad immediately gave solution by requesting, his father to pray Krishna, but he never did that. However, he was questioning Prahlad in turn again that, can you do this? What's so great about you? If your God is great, can you come here? Okay, so we have seen in Ishopanijad also, right? Tade jati, tanne jati, tad dure, tad manchike, tadantarasya sarvasya, tadu satsvasyaya bhayataha. So these are apparent contradiction for the asuras, but for suras who are devotees, this is just one spectacular performance of Krishna. So now this is also mentioned in Bhagavatam. So that is the thing. So now this is the ultimate thing, right? So we always talk about the Shaivites, Vaishnavites, and there is no word in Vedas called the Shaivites, right? We have Advaita, Advaita, but this is very coined term, and the reason Shiva came in is also mentioned in an article which I'll discuss at the end. But for the time being, what is very important is I'm now going back to the article written, the book written by Vyasa, and in one of his 10 offenses, the second offense is this: to consider the name of the demigod like Shiva or Brahma to be equal to or independent of the name of Vishnu. So basically, this is what is written here. Now I am going to move into Padma Purana, wherein Padma Purana talks about Parvati asking lots of questions to Shiva, right? And one such question she asks is, when she says Vishnu Sahasranamam, which has 1,000 names of Vishnu, she suddenly has a doubt that what if I'm not able to tell the 1,000? If I don't have the time, what should I do? So immediately Shiva is telling that, if you don't have the time, it's fine. You can tell Rama's name thrice. So that is what it is. Sri Rama Rama Rameti Rame Rame Manorame Sahasrananam Tattulyam Rama Nama Varaname Sri Rama Nama Varaname Om Nama Iti. So if you tell that, it is equal to, mentioning Vishnu's name is what he is telling. So now, if we are going in considering our material husbands, you all will know how we tell. No, tell my name, right? That is what we are in. And look at Shiva, and Shiva is a most exalted devotee of Krishna. And if Krishna is like milk, Shiva is like curd. And Krishna has 64 opulences, and Shiva has 90%, which is 55 opulences are there for Shiva. So that is the greatest elevation. So now this is the similarity. Now, what is the dissimilarity and what makes our Krishna superior? Immediately we'll have this doubt, right? So I'm going to take you all to the story of Kamadeva. When Kamadeva and when Shiva was doing a penance, and when Kamadeva, Cupid, Lord of Cupid, came before him, he got so angry and he burnt him off. And that is where Prahalad, you know, when Kamadeva's wife was praying, Vishnu said, no problem. When Krishna will take Prahalad, that is Prahalad will be, Pradyumna will be born as his son. So that is how Pradyumna is born as Krishna's son here. And also the same thing if you see in Naranarayanan, when Vishnu is doing the same tapasya in the form, that is Krishna is doing the tapasya in the form of Naranarayana, same time demigod sent the same Kamadeva. But he is laughing, he's just not worried at all. He's telling, okay, come sit here. Now I will give you a return gift because demigod sent you, Indra, you know, the head has sent you to distract me. I will take from my thigh and give a gift called Urmila. Uru means thigh, and from there he says, okay, I'm giving a gift to Indra. So I'm just trying to tell like how even a very stressful situation, how Vishnu, we have never seen Krishna getting angry at all. Whether he is here in the material world, whether he comes along with his associates or whether he is in Goloka, his anger component is not, we've not seen that at all. So that's his speciality and one of the many USPs. So Mahajans, if you see very clearly, there are 12 Mahajans, and you know, and in that also Shiva is there. So, so this is a thing which talks about Brahma and Shiva being one among the 12 Mahajans, and this is also specified in Chaitanya Charitamrita, as well as it's also said in Srimad Bhagavatam 6.3.20 and 21 verses. Now moving on to Ganesha, right? So I think for many Shaivites, Ganesha is a favorite god, and everybody says, you know, we will start with Ganesha. So I'm now coming back to Ganesha, and this is in, you know, from Brahma Samhita. Now, what is Brahma Samhita? Brahma Samhita was the prayers given by Brahma to Krishna. And when he gives prayers, we will see subsequently. But prior to that, in this 5.5, you know, he chants saying that Yat Pada Pallavi Yudavi Nidaya Kumbha Tvande Pranama Sakayeda Ganadi Raja Vignan Vigatum Alamasya Jagatrayasya Govindamadi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami. So now if you go back, you know, it says that the meaning of this is, I adore the primeval God, Lord Govinda, whose lotus feet was held by Ganesha upon the you know, tumuli, which is that his trunk, and he has an elephant head. And why does he do this? Because his function of destroying all the obstacles on the path of progress of the three worlds. That is his idea. So that is why he is doing this. So this is the entire you know, story of Ganesha also. So why are we again going back to Ganesha? Is because of the fact Ganesha is also a very elevated thing. Now quickly difference between demigod and Krishna, if you see, obviously Krishna is the supreme and there is only one supreme. Demigods are parts and parcels, and the material energy itself is created by Krishna, and these are controllers to manage them, and he is a supreme controller. So he is a primary controller. Birth, death and all that does not exist in Goloka or Vaikuntha. Whereas here it exists, that's eternal, and here it's a temporary word. So these are the things. The material nature are governed by three, which I briefly told you on. So the mode of goodness, Satyaguna, is associated always with Vishnu, who is the original creator and the maintainer. And Lord Brahma is in charge of the Tamaguna, and Shiva, of the Rajoguna, and Shiva is the Tattvaguna. Now, 9.25 Bhagavad Gita clearly says, worshippers of celestial gods take birth among the celestial god. Worshippers of ancestors go to the ancestors, and worshipper of gods take birth with them. So basically, and those who worship me, that is Vishnu, will come back to me, clearly shows that the worlds are different and they live at elevated positions, one above the other. So now one above the other starts with, I will start with the highest, which is a Goloka Vrindavan on the left, and which is called the Krishna Loka, which is permanently so beautiful, eternal, and it's for all the devotees. So that place is for us and we belong there. So that is why we are doing all this to go there. And next, going on to Vaikunta. Vaikunta, Vai means free and Kunta means problems. So Vaikunta is a place free from problems. And the highest, Vaikunta has so many planets where all gods exist in the form of Rama is there, Narsimha is there, all of them are there. And highest planet in that is Goloka. About the Bhumi, which is our material world, is what I was talking about. Maha Vishnu, again creating Garbho Dakshai Vishnu, and Shiro Dakshai Vishnu is the Paramatma entering each heart. Going back to Arjuna, and this is Bhagavad Gita 9.20, Krishna is telling, Traivinya Mam Samopata Puta Papa Janver Ishtva Sver Gatam Prarityanti the Punam Ashadi Suredre Lokam Ashnandi Divyam Devi Deva Bhogan. So those who study Soma Rasa will seek heavenly planets. He also brings in a very important point to Arjuna, telling that Trigunya Vishya Vega. So Arjuna, raise among the three gunas is what he very clearly mentions. That shloka is behind, which I will bring it up. Now, next point is also that what is the divine energy for? He is telling the divine energy of mind consisting of the three modes of material nature is difficult to overcome. But again, when you surrender to me, you know, Maya will not come near you or touch you because she is operating under the rule. Brahma. Now, Brahma is not eternal. He has a limited life. Why are we saying that? Is because if you go back, and I was talking about Brahma Samhita earlier, Brahma Samhita came after Brahma was doubtful whether Krishna was God. He came and he played a prank with Krishna, right? Having the coward voice. Later, when he realized that he made a big mistake, and how he made is because Krishna took actually the rupa of everybody. He realized that he made a very big mistake. He apologized, and that is when Brahma Samhita came. And now, life of Brahma is therefore calculated as 311 trillion years. And this is a detailed calculation, and you all have all read it in Bhagavad Gita in advanced class. So I'm going to the next slide. And now this I told that whoever drinks the Somaras will go here. So this is the destination. Ever praise God. So this is what it is. Now next, now coming to Indra, right? Indra is also an exalted devotee. And when this was done, what did Krishna do? With his single left finger, he was able to keep the Goloka, Govardhana hill on the top. So this is what, since the demigods are endowed with the mode of goodness, the false pride, because they are in that mode of goodness, which is what we say, Sattva Guna also can give people pride. The false pride made him do all this. But however, Krishna never punished him. He is so merciful that he gave a chance for him to fix the issue. Now, undoubtedly, we cannot even go close to anyone who is basically our Prahalad, and we spoke about Hiranyakashipu initially. So this is one who took every opportunity, even in to talk about Krishna, even to these demonic friends being in Asuraluka. So every time we tell that I don't have time, I have problem, my family does not allow me to do Krishna conscience, my neighbors don't do. Basically, it's all because of the fact that we cannot control the Adi Baudika, which is around us, not the Adi Devika, which is the power of of demigods which control things. But Adi Atmika is one thing which we can change with or see, because the way we see things around depends on the way we are able to feel things inside. So this is a lesson which we can learn from Prahalad. And also Parikshit Maharaj on his dying day, 7 days. This is the speciality of a devotee who takes an obstruction, every obstruction as an opportunity, because Parikshit Maharaj never said, oh my God, 7 days, what will I do? What should I do? He immediately went and told, okay, Sukadeva, I want to hear. Why he wants to hear? It's not that he doesn't know about Krishna. He is coming, why is he called Parikshit? Because when Krishna saved him and he saw the beautiful, Vishnu, and he wanted to see, and everyone he looks, right? He was searching, and he was, Parikshit means examining, who is this Krishna? Now, this person, such an elevated soul, 7 days, he converted his obstacle into an opportunity to hear. Hear means Shravanam. So, Shravanam becomes the first and the most important thing in Krishna. So these are all references for everything. Srimad Bhagavatam 10.7 to 11 says, no one in this world, even a demigod, what to speak of an earthly king, can defeat my devotee with the strength, beauty, fame, or riches. A classic example of Prahalad, who we spoke of. And now the next one we are talking about, thus the 10.2 to 20 talks about the young girls of Vrindavan, right? How they prayed God. Now, is worshipping demigods wrong? And why did they worship? Because they also worship for Krishna. So if we are praying demigods telling, give me the route to go to Krishna, nothing wrong. Demigods will love you and definitely will help you to do everything to, facilitate you to the next level. Now, Srimad Bhagavatam 5.20 tells that this is the mantra, oh fire god, you are a part of Supreme God, Hari, and you carry to him all the offerings of sacrifices. So this is Yagna Purusha. So all the sacrifices done in the name of, for any demigod, ultimate beneficiary is Yagna, which is another name for Krishna, is also called Yagna Purusha. Now, coming back, there is one God, and Gita is a strong monistic theory. This is what they say, right? There are many gods and all that. And this one we will go about with an article, and I'll come to that subsequently. Now, Krishna, this is mentioned in Bhagavad Gita. Krishna is the source of all demigod. 10.8 says that for Krishna is the source, all that exists is within him. Thus, the worshipping gods are ultimately worshipping Krishna, which is in 9.22. 9.24 again says anything offered to him is basically God themselves are acting as mere agents, demigods. So it highlights that. And ignorant worship demigods for material benefits, right? So that is what it says. Clearly shows that Krishna is the superior God. So 9.21, now what is it you get out of the demigods? Yes, they will give you something, but they can't give you liberation. That's for clear. So that is the biggest challenge, that demigods won't be able to give liberation. Krishna is the only one who can give. It's the only in the world of Supreme God, Krishna, that one can find eternal abode, and that's our aim. So this is his cosmic manifestation. Krishna is superior to all gods, is very, very clear indeed, and said by Krishna himself in Bhagavad Gita, and not only by Krishna and Arjuna, because you will tell Arjuna is his favorite and he will do favoritism. No. All the demigods themselves say that. And every time Parvati asks Shiva, and everybody asks Shiva, what are you meditating on? He says, I meditate on Krishna. So that clearly shows this. And the material modes which are here are also controlled by Krishna, created by Krishna to satisfy people, envious people, us, so that, he can give, because we wanted this material world. So he's giving all the happiness we wanted to do this. So Krishna is omnipresent, and all living beings inside everybody's heart, he is actually there. And 7.22 clearly says he's an agent, and all the results obtained from demigods are temporary and their powers are limited, which is why Ganesha is also praying to give power to handle everything. So this is the most important thing. And I hereby conclude that nothing is beyond Krishna. 7.7, he is the greatest of all gods. 5.29, he is the creator and sustainer. 8.29, Krishna glorifies Param Brahmam, Parandamam, Pavitram Paramam Bhavan, Purusham, Shashvatam Divyam, Adi Devam, Ajam Vibhum is there. He's a God of all gods, 10.15, origin of gods, 10.12, 11.38, it says primeval God, it talks about 11.38, and Arjuna further affirms that nobody is equal or greater, and also takes quotes for everybody else. So the meetings are 18